Hello, my name is Tiffany, and this is my final presentation on my internship from this past semester. My internship was at Canisius College, which is a small private Jesuit institution. I was in the graduate admissions office, which was made up of one director, 3 admissions counselors, 2 graduate assistants, and the shared processing team with the undergrad admissions office. Canisius roughly has just over 1,100 graduate students, and the majority of their programs are online or hybrid, which allows for a lot of distance learners to earn their degree through Canisius, but be out of state, or allows for non-traditional students and adult learners to have flexibility in the classes that they take. My responsibilities and projects for the past semester were the following. The Alumni Referral Program, which is launching live shortly, but the basis of the program is that alumni can refer a coworker, colleague, family friend that they feel it would be a great match for Canisius or would do really well or benefit from one of Canisius's programs. So from start to finish, I had to research what other schools do and how their alumni referral programs look on their web pages. And then I had to write up and how we were going to word it for our page. And then using Canisius's website designer and builder, developing how it was going to look for when alumni land on the page. My next big project was recruiting and rebranding the graduate student blog. The office runs a graduate student blog, which various graduate students contribute to. So it started with recruiting for and recruiting graduate students who would want to volunteer and contribute to the blog. And then we worked on the blog was a little bit outdated, so it's run through WordPress, so using WordPress and the design options it contained, rebranding it and freshening things up and making it a little bit more modern and things like that. Early on this semester, Canisius works with Teach for America, and they have a summer cohort coming in. So for all the applicants that had applied for Teach for America, we had to look at their transcripts, review them, see what courses they had for certification purposes and things like that, which was very interesting to look at because some of the transcripts are very straightforward looking at and trying to find courses and seeing how credit hours, and other ones we ended up having to search for transcript keys and things like that and really evaluating what certain courses meant and things like that. Lastly, myself and the 2 graduate assistants in the office were tasked with creating a graduate student picnic orientation sort of event for August. Just a way to welcome students, get them the information they need without it coming across as such a straightforward, such a orientation and people thinking like it's undergrad. There's going to be icebreakers and things like that, where it's more like, welcome to Canisius, here's kind of your resources. So we were in charge of creating it and then pitching it to the graduate admissions team. And then lastly, I got to be involved with Career Fair, which is their career fair and open house. So I was able to see how 2 large events run and are organized at Canisius. So my top 3 kind of improved competencies were organization and human resources, advising and supporting, and technology. So organization and human resources, with Canisius being such a small institution, I was really able to see kind of how they use every last resource, from lines in a budget to personnel to offices, to make and get the most out of everyone. So in our case, it was getting the most out of recruiting and registration and enrollment. And the biggest prime example of that is the alumni referral for, reaching out tapping our alumni to be able to get prospects that we might not get otherwise. So the technology competency, the biggest thing aside from learning how to use WordPress and a different web developer that Canisius uses for their school's website, was getting to use the Slate, which is a CRM or customer relations management software. A lot of institutions now are moving towards Slate, and it was a great experience being able to see how they do everything from applications to communications, emails, text reminders, all through Slate. And it's definitely come in handy to be able to speak about this experience in interviews and being to talk about the experience that I've had using Slate. So the last competency I improved upon was advising and supporting. Canisius and the graduate office there has a completely different philosophy than the graduate school at Buffalo State does, where I've been a GA for the past 2 years. They know that in the market and in the Buffalo area, they're not a state school. They can't really compete with funding-wise and money-wise for their education. So they really leverage their one-on-one support and advising of students, being there for students, the follow through, and having meaningful interactions instead of just treating everybody the same. They really take the time and they really give you 100% to really stand out in your mind that you may be paying more, but look at the outstanding service you're getting and the outstanding advising and support that you're receiving. And it was really nice to kind of see that contrast and how they use that, how they know what their disadvantages are and they spin things to make it an advantage point for them. So my reflections about myself and my journey of self-authorship. One of the big kind of reflections I've had recently in Revelations is that because I've been so dedicated to my schoolwork for the past 6 years, going right from graduate school, from undergrad, I've really only had 2 identities, or at least 2 identities that I see identify in myself, one being a student and one being a scout. And now that school is ending, I feel like I'm kind of losing an identity, even though I'm graduating and it's a good thing. So kind of trying to figure out who I am outside of the realms that I've known myself for the past 6 years. And then when it comes to my journey of self-authorship, ever since almost 2 years ago, I kind of made the promise to myself that I would do whatever makes me happy. I've really come a long way from that, and that was kind of the big starting point in advocating for myself and not worrying about what the external voices were saying and listening to my internal voice, especially recently with job hunting and job searching. That's really kind of come into play with listening to my gut and not just doing something because it's what I should do or the jobs that were money, but really listening to my gut and listening to, I can see myself here, fit's important, and things like that. So then we have my personal manifesto here. Which for some reason the video is not playing, but I will also submit that YouTube link with the presentation one. And that is it.